The following program is from NET, the National Educational Television Network.
NET Journal, a look at the events and issues of the world today.
What do you want to do? Can't we have a little game of catch? Wouldn't you like to do something? Isn't there something you'd like to do?
Oh, let me not be mad. Not mad, sweet heaven, cried Shakespeare's King Lear. I would not be mad.
When Lear set out that terrible cry of "make me not mad, not mad," he did this because this is the worst thing that can happen. I think a person can die with equanimity, but it's a very different thing to think that you'll be destroyed, that your very central being will be assaulted in this way. Schizophrenia, I think, is really the Everest of psychiatry. Schizophrenia is one of the great and massive illnesses. When you realize that there were literally tens and hundreds of thousands of people afflicted, you have to be more detached than I am to see it as an academic problem. It became, in a way, a kind of personal affront. And I think this is a good thing. This is how research in medicine should be. It's a battle.
It is a battle whose stakes are high.
What's the matter? Huh? What's the problem?
What is schizophrenia? Nobody really knows its cause nor why some people recover and others do not. Yet hidden within its complexities may be the vital clues we need to help us understand ourselves. Suppose you lost the inner guidelines we all need in order to function in this complicated world. Suppose your recollection of your own past became chaotic, without landmarks, and your view of the future despairing. What if you lost your capacity to feel pleasure, lost your sense of identity as a person, and suppose reality, as you had always known it, began to change before your eyes? Life would become a nightmare filled with terrifying fantasies. And for a schizophrenic, this is indeed what life becomes. This illness has existed since the beginning of recorded time. At least 1 out of every 100 people everywhere suffers from it during some part of his life. Some are in institutions. But many, like Renee, struggle along in the day-to-day world, living a painful, limited life, walking a dangerous tightrope, never knowing when they may be flung back into anguish. By trying to help them, we, the other 99, may finally learn what can help keep us sane. The National Educational Television Network presents Schizophrenia, the Shattered Mirror. None of the people you are about to see are actors. Schizophrenia varies in its symptoms and its severity. Many schizophrenics are able to function in the world. Then suddenly, or over a period of years, and usually in their youth, they shatter.
I remember was working very hard at my dancing. But the strain and the pressure of the dieting and the lack of sleep and the overexhaustion finally began to break me down. There were fingers touching me on my forehead. They always seemed to touch me as if to warn me to refrain from doing something, or to stop what I had already begun to do. In time, I became an absolute slave of these things. I remember that I would walk down a street, and I would all at once have a strange feeling that I should go in a certain direction. I remember looking down a certain street. It would look very strange, as if in a dream. And I would have a feeling I must walk down that street because there was something for me to see, or something that I must do, or an experience that I must have. As these symptoms continued and seemed to get worse and worse, at the same time I was also withdrawing more and more into myself. Sort of like dark, black, ominous clouds gathering over me, like a nightmare that was engulfing me. I had taken that same subway home night after night, and yet I didn't know which train to get on. I broke down and started to cry. I was as helpless as a child. And all of a sudden, I burst out screaming. I can't stand it, I can't stand it. They're torturing me, they're after me. These spirits won't let me alone.
Renee first came to see me 2 years ago when she was admitted to our hospital. She had been diagnosed schizophrenia at least 2 years before I first saw her and had received various forms of therapy.
Dr. Abram Hopper, Director of Psychiatric Research, Saskatchewan, Canada.
She was schizophrenic. It's very sad, but when people hear the word schizophrenia, they immediately think of a split personality, like Jekyll and Hyde, or they think of violence or great danger. It's sad because these two things are not true. It's very difficult to diagnose schizophrenia very often, but Renee demonstrates the classical picture of schizophrenia. She had changes in perception. These included changes in her visual field, where she saw flashes of light across her visual field, like gems and diamonds and crystals, and this is how she described them. She also felt fingers touching her forehead. These are tactile hallucinations. In addition, she had changes in thinking. And finally, the last classical symptom, she had inappropriate affect. And she was talking about an event where she should have been depressed. She seemed to be inappropriately happy. When she was talking about a cheerful event, she was depressed. I was faced with a very difficult problem in treating Renee. Her parents had brought her from California. It cost them $1,200 a month in our hospital. I didn't want to keep her so long that it would deplete the family finances, and yet I didn't dare send her home too soon because my first responsibility was to Renee. After 2 or 3 months, Renee felt that she wanted to come back to New York. She wanted to be independent, and I agreed with her. But Renee, like most schizophrenics, lives on a razor's edge. That is, the symptoms of her schizophrenia couldn't come back at any time. In New York, Renee faces many problems. The most serious one is loneliness. She is a long way from home. She has very few close friends. Renee chose to live in a small, bare room, 8 by 10 feet. Now, Renee probably is more comfortable in a small room, which becomes a kind of shelter or cave where she can feel more secure than she would be in the large, busy streets of New York City. And she considers this room to be cozy. At this point, Renee has been in New York 1 year. She is taking or trying to keep up with her ballet classes, which is very strenuous physically. This means that she must keep her weight down, and this, in her case, is especially dangerous for her. In addition, Renee is working at 2 part-time jobs. During the day, she is doing clerical work, which is not very stimulating, and is really a long way away from what she would like to do. In the evening, she is a cashier. Now, this means that she will be home late, and she will not have enough sleep, and therefore will not have the right quantity of rest that she needs. She could relapse at any time.
Renee is struggling to stay in the real world. But what is the world from which she has come? Doctors have described it in many ways. Sometimes, when a person finds his current life situation is too much for him, then, in a very massive way, he tries to pull out. In order to adapt to what is so unbearable to him in life, in order to stay alive, he flees to a world of his own creation, with its own rules and its own terrors. And you cannot reach him there.
Feel safe up in the tree down here? You do? You're not afraid of heights? You're not afraid of heights?
In this cold world of the schizophrenic, there is rarely a relationship with another human being, for each person considers himself alien to the other. Very often, they do not think of themselves as human beings. Many do not know where their own body ends and the outside world begins. And for others, time is not real. A minute may feel like an interminable hour. An hour may race by at terrifying speed. All of us have had such experiences, but fleetingly. What must it be like to live like that always? And what must it be like always to ask those most human of questions? What am I? Who am I? And never to have an answer.
Hey, I am I. Who are you? I am I. Who are you? Good, absolutely. I am I. Who are you? Good. I am I. Who are you? I am I. Who are you? Hips don't learn.
Through methods like dance therapy, they are placed in direct contact with others, touching, talking.
The method is the more I spread everybody now.
But once the music stops, they go back within themselves. How can we reach into their strange and private world? Dr. Humphrey Osmond, director of the Bureau of Research in Neurology and Psychiatry for the state of New Jersey, has been trying to do this by developing a series of questions designed to help schizophrenics tell us more about what their inner world is like. He and psychologist Monaim El-Maliki got their clues for these questions from long conversations with hundreds of patients.
What's the difference between this face of mine? You can't tell, since you're not looking at it. You only look at this one. Can you? That's the first time you look at me since yesterday. Realize that? Why did you look at me?
I don't make a habit of looking at somebody.
I beg pardon?
I don't make a habit of looking at somebody.
You don't make a habit of looking at somebody?
Mm-hmm.
How about the people in general? How quick do you think they are? People in the street and...
Some people that are in places that I go, I find they go very quickly.
I see. So, Gail, now, you feel that people are too fast for you.
Yes.
What prevents you from being faster?
Just the need to get things as right as possible. When you do something, you get it as close to being done as you can.
Are you thinking while you are talking?
Yes.
You told me a while ago that your age is 27.
7.
All right, you are 27. How old do you feel?
35.
Your age, your actual age is 27, and you feel that you are 35. Okay, what makes you feel older than your own real age?
That's because I like to be that old.
You like to be that old? I see. Why? What advantage does a person of 35 has over a person of 27? You must have good reasons for that, Gail.
Closer to when he dies.
Hmm?
He's closer to when he dies.
He is closer to when he dies. You feel like dying?
Well, if there's any kind of better life after this one.
From such indications of what schizophrenics experience in their inner lives, a test is being designed to help them communicate their true feelings and, hopefully, be an aid in diagnosing the illness. As a control, the test is first checked out with normal subjects like this volunteer.
We are here concerned with the way people see themselves, other people, and the world in general, and I would like you to read each of those statements and then decide whether it is true as it applies to you or false. See? But don't think too much about it.
I have a mental illness. Hope not. My reflection in the mirror looks strange. Well, can't. Most people hate each other. I don't think most people do.
How many?
I think there are a large number of people that hate a lot of other people, but I don't think most people.
Would you say that they are the majority or the minority?
I think they're a small minority.
Fine. Thank goodness.
Yes.
Well, what do you think? Do you have this feeling or not? Is that true or false? As far as you are concerned.
True.
That true? You feel sometimes that your ideas may turn into insects? Okay. Then which box would you put it here? Would you put it here or there?
Yes.
Fine. You got the idea. Okay, that's the way. Go ahead now and read each one. Loudly.
I do not know what my hands will do next. No, that doesn't apply.
Fine. Mm-hmm. Very good.
I can hear bright colors. No,
Okay.
I can hear them.
Certainly a funny item, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Fine.
it's false.
Mm-hmm.
People often laugh at me. So I base it on the way things are now or the way it happened before.
Well, just tell me about it. Now, let us start by now.
Yeah. Now they laugh at me quite a lot.
Yes. Where?
At the institute.
They laugh at you. Which people are you referring to?
The patients.
Okay. How about the past?
Past they laughed at me too.
All right. Okay. Then what would the answer be?
True.
Okay.
I feel turned to stone. Sure.
That must be very uncomfortable feeling.
Yes.
Very uncomfortable. How long have you been feeling that way?
For the past few years.
For the past few years. Have you told anybody about that?
No.
How do you feel about these questions as you are going through them? Did you like going through them and answering them?
Yes.
You did? Yes. What makes you like them?
They help you to understand what the life consists of, and what your mind is.
I see. It helped you to understand what life consists in your mind.
Yeah.
Most patients who have this kind of psychological and emotional disturbance, when this erupts out of their previous neurosis, still are in contact most of the time. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen a patient who is really psychotic, really totally disorganized 24 hours a day. They move into it and out of it.
I have no will of my own. It's false. I'm rotten inside. It's false. There are insects under my skin. It's false. Doesn't seem to be any true ones. It is dangerous to touch people. That's false. I have a mental illness. Apparently so. It's true.
Now, when it comes to treatment, there are those who put their hope in the use of drugs of many kinds. Now, there can be no question at all but that drugs have helped very disturbed people to be less disturbed, and has therefore made it possible for us to get in contact with them, to communicate with them, to influence the underlying problems and feelings and attitudes which they have. Whether drugs alone have a cure is a question about which one will get many disagreements. My personal feeling is they don't cure, but they can sometimes make life livable for people who are otherwise too disturbed to live, and that, what is more important, they bring people back into contact, make it possible to make contact with them in a therapeutic way. There are others who believe in the use of various forms of shock treatment, and very much the same thing could be said about the use of shock treatment in relation to the psychotic disorganization, state of psychological disorganization that I've just said about drugs. And there are some who put their whole hope in psychological treatment alone, particularly deep psychoanalytic treatment. There can be no question that any one of us can point to individual experiences in which people have been helped, and perhaps one may be justified in saying even cured, by any one of these approaches. But those experiences are still rare. And my own conviction is that there's going to be ultimately ways of integrating and bringing together these various approaches in the treatment of illnesses of this kind.
How do a chemical in the body suddenly gone awry? Among biochemists exploring this crucial question, there is much conflicting evidence. One researcher probing into the biochemical and neurophysiological area is Dr. Robert Heath, chairman of the Department of Psychiatry and Neurology at Tulane University in Louisiana.
As we've studied these patients in detail, the fundamental consistent abnormality seems to be a deficiency in their feeling mechanism, particularly in their ability to feel pleasure. And we began looking specifically to see if there was any part of the brain which might have to do with the expression of feelings, the expression of emotion, and level of awareness. Now, in order to get at this question, in order to explore it, we had to develop new techniques, and this involved the development of techniques for implanting electrodes into these precise regions deep in the brain so that we could sample the activity that was going on. We first perfected these techniques in animals, these techniques for implanting electrodes accurately and leaving them in place for significant periods of time. And after doing that, we felt that this sort of an approach offered enough of a therapeutic or treatment possibility that we were warranted in going ahead and implanting these electrodes into very sick schizophrenic patients who had failed to respond to all existing treatments.
One of the first to be chosen for this operation was Annabelle. On October 18, 1950, they implanted an electrode in her brain and gave her one stimulation. 1 month later,
I love macaroni. Mother never do cook macaroni. I don't know when was the day she cooked macaroni. Macaroni, spaghetti, and mashed potatoes. She never do cook it. The same old thing, rice. Rice, doing nothing.
6 months after.
Have you had any thoughts or anything which have been disturbing you?
Mm-mm.
15 months later.
What is it? Don't feel bad about? Yeah, and because he felt sorry for it.
It sounds like you did pretty well.
I get by.
2 years later, Annabelle wept. She knew her symptoms were coming back. And gradually she did return to her original condition. The researchers knew that their work had brought only a brief respite from tragedy, and that they must work on to try to find a more lasting treatment.
We thought we could do it with one stimulation. It did hold for quite some time in this first patient, but on the next couple of patients, it didn't last as long. We therefore wondered if by leaving the electrodes in position, provided us with an opportunity to re-stimulate, if we couldn't continue to eliminate the psychotic symptoms or reduce them with this treatment method.
The electrodes were left in Julius for a year, and he was given multiple stimuli. They were removed 10 years ago.
Well, I have a better outlook on life now than I did before. I don't feel anyone is against me. I'm not depressed. I've gone back to my writing. I used to write poetry, and I've written about 200 since I had the operation, which I memorized. I mean, as I write them.
And how do people seem to you?
Everybody treats me fine. I'm with my family. I have 9 children, and we have no trouble at all.
However, Julius was an exception. Most patients were not able to retain the benefits even with the multiple stimuli.
We're also interested in knowing what the effects of stimulation of other precise regions of the brain would be, whether that too would remove the psychotic symptoms and produce pleasure, or whether it might have another type of effect.
When you have your choice there, what one do you like to push?
I like to push this one here.
What's that deal?
That gives me a very good feeling. Very good.
In addition to this finding of a pleasure response to stimulation, we also were able to determine that this region was misfunctioning. Now, this was determined by making electrical recordings from these precise regions within the brain. We found that when the patients were psychotic, that there was an abnormal electrical activity in these precise regions. It was after we had consistently noted this correlation that we began looking for some basic factor that might be responsible for this abnormality of the brain, this abnormality that was basic to the psychotic state. In these studies, the first thing that we did was to look at the blood, study the blood, to see if there might be a difference in the way in which the blood of schizophrenics, in contrast to the blood of normals, metabolize the chemicals that were known to be released with stress. And we found that the serum of schizophrenics oxidized adrenaline more rapidly than the serum of normals, fairly consistently. Now, the next thing we did was to get out the particular fraction of that serum which was responsible for this increased oxidation. This fraction we named taraxine because it was a simple short name that we could put on it, and this word is derived from the Greek, and it means disorganization of the mind. So we took this fraction. It was a very crude fraction. We introduced it into monkeys with the electrodes implanted into precise regions, and when we did give it intravenously to these monkeys, it produced an abnormal electrical activity in the same region of the brain that we had recorded from the patients when they were showing psychotic symptoms. And these monkeys displayed catatonic symptoms. They became reduced in their level of awareness and dazed and out of contact. These monkey tests with taraxine were certainly interesting, provocative, and highly suggestive, but they weren't conclusive.
We've made many more tests, but we still got a long way to go. We feel our ability to obtain a chemical factor in the blood of schizophrenics and demonstrate how it affects the brain is a step towards a concrete definition of the disease. Another great step forward will come when and if we can come up with a successful blood test to demonstrate the presence of this chemical in schizophrenic patients.
If we once found out specifically what this disease was, we would then be on the road for evolving a specific treatment, something which we haven't even closely approximated as of this time.
But other researchers feel that the most promising leads lie elsewhere. They believe that while biochemical effects may be found in schizophrenia, the cause is not biochemical. Some researchers feel it will be found within the individual himself. Others believe that one must look beyond the individual alone and study his relationships to other people. They believe a disturbance in these relationships may be an important factor in schizophrenia. One of the most crucial relationships, of course, is within the family unit, where people first learn to communicate their emotions and thoughts. Dr. Lyman Wynn, Chief of Adult Psychiatry at the National Institute of Mental Health, together with Dr. James Stabenow and others, are studying the patterns and significance of these relationships.
Over the years, we've studied many families, those with a schizophrenic child and those whose offspring are normal. We match them as closely as possible for sex, age of the child, economic level, and cultural background. And then we seek to discover what the differences are in the way they behave toward each other, the way they think and feel, the way they talk to each other and relate to each other.
We have chosen to explore this with what we call the Revealed Differences Test. The Revealed Differences Test is a measure of family interaction.
We pose questions to each of these family members individually to find issues on which they differ.
The first question this morning is, children should not be interested in the private affairs of their parents which do not concern them. Should be or should not be?
Should not be.
I think they should be interested.
I think they should be. They should have some interest in it. I think that's part of growing up, to find out what's going on.
Try to come to an agreement on one answer to the question. I'll leave a pencil here, and you can indicate the answer then that you've come to agreement upon.
Mm-hmm.
The question is deliberately ambiguous. How will the family go about resolving it?
I'll read it again, if I may. Children should not be interested in the private affairs of their parents which do not concern them. How do you feel about that?
I thought they should be, because it's part of their growing up, and they would be interested. They're interested in the parents as people, and they would be interested in what happened to them.
How do you feel, Lee?
Well, certain problems they should be interested in, and certain problems they should know about.
I think that's the way I feel. Children just are not prepared sometimes to comprehend what is going on, especially with you and me. And the only result that I can see sometimes would be to upset the children.
Well, that's true.
In certain types of problems.
Yeah, they get upset, but they are, I mean, it's normal for them to be interested.
Oh, I think so too, but should they become involved, I think...
Yeah, they shouldn't help make the decision or...
I think it depends on the problem.
Exactly. That's the way I think I feel. So then
yeah,
relate
well,
back
probably
to...
not.
Probably not in certain types of problems. I think we can all agree on that, can we not?
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree, Lee? Do you agree? I agree, too.
Children should not be interested in the private affairs of their parents which do not concern them. Do you think they should be or should not be?
Should not be.
Financial, I would say yes, otherwise no.
They should be or should not be?
Should be financially, other matters no.
So you'd say should be with some reservation?
Okay, I'll do it that way. Fine.
Well, I could answer that two ways. First of all, one might think that certain things are not within the province of a child's understanding. I believe that children should know a good bit about what goes on. As for very, very, very personal things, no, I think a child should not be over-curious. But I really feel that many things people keep from children are entitled to know.
Well, now, if we could settle on just one of these answers, which would you think would be most satisfactory for yourself? That they should not be interested in the private affairs of their parents, or that they should be?
I think they should be.
We find that there seems to be a difference in the way a family with a schizophrenic child focuses on a question of this kind.
Mary, why do you feel that children should not be interested in the affairs of their parents?
Oh, because it's none of their business.
Well, that depends on what you're talking about. I qualified my answer by saying that they should be interested in their parents' financial affairs, but that there were other matters that they shouldn't have any interest in. You put it down as a qualified no.
You always told me that you weren't going to tell me how much money you made.
When you were a child, that's true, because I know that children sometimes don't have judgment enough not to repeat things like that in the wrong place.
Well, we are speaking to children, I think.
Well, yes. In other words, you're making an issue of the wording of the question where it says matters that don't concern the child.
Well, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But still, Mary, the way the question is, children should not be interested. But I think in looking at the question, rereading the question, children should not be interested. Most children, whether they should be or not, have a natural curiosity. And I think, generally speaking, most children are, don't you? Well,
that's interesting. It's interesting the way the question is worded, because it says children should not be interested. I recall when I answered it privately that I took it to mean that the parents shouldn't tell the child. That isn't what it says at all, really.
You take it that way sometimes, don't you?
No.
It says children should not be interested. Well,
I really believe that a child who is not interested is the exception. He might not show his interest.
Is that the question, or is the question whether he should be?
I think he should be, because if he isn't, I don't think he's normal.
Are you always interested in the affairs of other people?
In a family with a schizophrenic child who finds certain patterns emerging, the discussion often tends to get vague. There are self-contradictions and interruptions. Opinions are left hanging. Children, depending upon their sensitivity, react with different intensity to these family patterns.
Truthfully, Doctor, many times we could not get together. Now, I suppose many times I didn't have an open mind, because many of my convictions are very, very strong. Many of his are, too.
I think that, in general,
I have an open mind. I know that you have accused me of not having an open mind merely because I would not agree with you. And if I
Because you wouldn't listen, honey.
But I did listen. I knew what you were going to say.
That's it. You knew what I was going to say, but many times you didn't know what I was going to say.
You think in the same patterns all the time. And it's very easy to predict what you're going to say. I mean, sometimes a person will illustrate something which seems to have nothing to do with it. But yet, her I know, when she starts off on a completely different subject, which slightly relates to the subject, that usually means that she's off the track. And I feel like listening to her.
At this point, all of our studies are after the fact. The child is already schizophrenic and the family relationships are established. Only when we can follow families of all kinds from birth on and see whether or not there is a consistent and different pattern in the behavior of those families whose children grow up to become schizophrenic adults, only then will we truly be able to answer the question of cause and effect in schizophrenia.
The question of cause and effect reaches into every area of research. We know, for example, that a schizophrenic perceives the world differently than we do. But is this a cause or an effect of schizophrenia? How is this perceptual loss related to their emotional turmoil? Each of us is unique, and to some extent we each perceive the same scene differently, depending on who we are. Some see power and action. Some are fascinated by machines. Others are interested in people. For some, there is only destruction. For others, great beauty. But all of us share in common a sense of depth, color, texture, on which we can rely. Schizophrenics do not share this with us. For them, this same scene may have no depth or perspective. It is just flat, two-dimensional. Their world may be totally without color, nothing but black and white. Can these distortions in perception affect what they feel about people? In our stable world, we depend on a lot of simple, commonplace things like depth and color, and we rely on them to be very much the same each time. But in a schizophrenic's world, things aren't the same each time, and he can never be certain how they will change from one moment to the next. Does schizophrenia create this unreliable, distorted world? Or does the impact of living in such a world bring on schizophrenia? To investigate this further, researchers are using hypnosis to reproduce similar perceptual distortions in normal volunteers. If they succeed, will John develop symptoms that mimic schizophrenia? Will he become hostile, unable to relate to people, unsure of his own body? Working on this with Dr. Osmond is Dr. Bernard Aronson. He has been hypnotizing John over a period of 6 months so that he can hypnotize him with one word.
Steve, are you ready for today? Sure, I'm always ready for today. Okay. Receive.
Nobody but Dr. Aronson saying this word to John will be able to hypnotize him or affect him in any way.
All of the memories of all previous hypnotic sessions are fading away. They're fading away. They're fading away. They're fading away. They're gone. You remember nothing about any previous hypnotic session. When I wake you up, the dimension of death will be gone. There will be no death. The dimension of death will be gone. There will
be no death. You won't remember that I told you this, nor will you remember anything about this hypnotic induction. But these instructions will remain in effect until I take them off. Take that. Having trouble orienting your match? Are you having trouble orienting your match?
No, I don't feel very well.
Lifeless.
Flat.
Lifeless. Flat.
Yeah.
How do you?
Here's what I said.
How do you look at that?
It's almost like things were two-dimensional. I mean, I look at my hand and it doesn't seem to have any relation to my body. Really, feet.
Your hand has no relation to your body.
I mean, you know. I mean, I can look at the arm, the hand, and see that it's all connected, but
They aren't you.
I don't feel this. You know, I mean, I have sensation.
Why not?
I don't know where I am in relation to the things, really.
Look over at me. I'm
Sort of far away and cold. You don't look particularly friendly or warm. I don't feel as if I can relate to you at all.
Let's try and see how well we can walk.
Like a kid. I can't see things properly. Well, how do things look? Flat. Flat? How do I look? Flat. Like a picture. Almost like a black and white picture.
Well, it's quite a loss for an artist like yourself, not to be able to see things in perspective.
So it's a loss for anybody with eyes.
After John's sense of depth is restored, another experiment begins. This one relates to a schizophrenic's distorted sense of past and future. If you don't know where you've been, and you don't know where you're going, then who are you?
You know how we usually divide time into the categories of past, present, and future. When I wake you up, there will be no future. The future will be gone. There will be no future. Wake up.
So, how do you feel? Wonderful? In what way? Well, how do you mean you feel wonderful? Oh, I feel wonderful, I thought. Is it important why you really? Well, sometimes it's important to know why. What's different? What's different? Different than what? Usual. No, I think I always feel pretty good. What do you have to do tomorrow? Go to work. I guess. Well, I don't have to, though. I could stay home. That's right. Because they don't know where I am anyway, you know, so. How do you feel? How would you describe your feelings right now? I think I feel a little bit elated, really. Mm-hmm. Why? The trouble with you psychologists. You can't just sit down and enjoy yourself. You gotta ask why. How do you feel? Oh, I feel fine. You look good. I really look good. Okay, I'll accept that. I like looking good. Okay, proceed. When I wake you up,
The future will have returned. The future has returned. Past, present, and future are all there. Wake up. How do you feel?
Why do you want to go do that for?
What?
I was having a good time.
Is there anything else about this?
Well, I seem to appreciate things in the here and now more than I usually do. Everything was pleasant to look at, to touch, to listen to, and
so if you can, you really managed to live in the present, then
you got it made.
You've got it made, huh? All right. Would you like to try another one?
Yeah.
Do you know how we divide time into the three categories of past, present, and future?
Yes.
When I wake you up, the past and the future will both be gone. The past and the future will both be gone. There'll be neither past nor future. You won't remember that I told you this, nor will you remember anything at all about this hypnotic induction. These instructions will remain in effect until I take them off. Wake up. John, wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. John? Wake up. Dr. Osmond?
John, can you hear me? How are you feeling? John? How are you feeling? Now take a look at me. Can you hear me, John? Give a little nod if you can.
Would you like to sit down? I think I ought to take him out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Perseus, the past and the future are both returned. The past and the future are both returned. Past, present, and future are all here. All of your memories of all previous hypnotic experiences are returning. They're returning. They're returning. They're back. You can remember everything about all previous hypnotic experiences. How do you feel? Do you feel any residuals from this experience? What? You feel frightened? Fear is going away. It's going away. You can feel it going away. You feel confident. You feel better now? All right. Now you can remember everything about this experience and everything about the induction. I'm going to wake you up in a moment. You'll wake up feeling relaxed, alert, confident, unafraid. Wake up.
Quite drowsy.
How are you?
Oh, I'm glad to be with you. Very glad to be with you.
It felt like not being with us, dude.
Yeah, it felt like not being nowhere. Quite drowsy.
When I talked to you, you heard my voice, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Where did it seem to come from?
I don't know. You just don't care when you're like that. There's nothing to care with. And it's not scary until you wake up. You're not frightened. That's very clear because there's no feeling.
Uh-huh.
Not at all. And that's I guess, what is the scariest part of the fact that you're not a human being. Not at all.
What are you then at that time?
I don't know. Nothing.
John can be brought out of this terrible world with one word. But for the schizophrenic, We do not yet know the word.
The producer planned to show some scenes of Renee going out on a date, as she has been doing for some time. But unfortunately, the date turned out to be an appointment with me. I have just seen Renee, and her symptoms have come back. She is full of worries and fears, and she was desperate to go home. I therefore advised her to go home to her parents, which she did. I will do my best to help Renee, and in time I hope she will recover.
What is the cause of schizophrenia? Is it biochemical or environmental or a combination of both? And what is the cure? So the research continues, trying this possibility and that, searching for the key or keys that will free the prisoners from their own prison. We offer her our world, a world of pain and cruelty, beauty and love, a world with some happiness. Now we must find a way to help her live in it. Next week, NET Journal takes another look at the problem of the mentally ill in Search for a Lost Self, a documentary about a school for seriously disturbed children.
This is NET, the National Educational Television Network.